You know who else has some thoughts on the preseason week one and has been tweeting them out, just like fueling the masses that are hungry for football? It's Shawn Syed back with us again. Shawn, you noted something about a special teams play in preseason week one that has blown up. And that is not something that is typically the case, that a special teams takeaway would be particularly notable. But there have been some changes on special teams this year, and one team in particular seemed to kind of shift their strategy as a result. Tell me about what jumped out about the Panthers.
Lindsay, look, special teams matter. So Sam played special teams. He's going to be the first one to tell you how much it matters. I really liked looking at what the Carolina Panthers were doing on their kickoffs. And now with the new kickoff in its second year, the touchbacks are going to be up to the 35-yard line. That should give teams a little bit more reason to kick that ball in bounds. And the way the Panthers handled it is, you're kicking kind of a line drive kick. You're hopefully getting it to bounce inside the 20-yard line. Football is a really weird shape. It's hard to field. And once that ball hits the ground, now your kick coverage unit can go ahead and run down the field. They did it 3 times. There were 2 instances where the Panthers were able to stop the returner at the 22-yard line. That's more than a first down yardage of distance away from what you would get if you were to just kick the ball through the back of the end zone. I love that they did it. We saw it from some other teams. There was the Texans. I think it was the Cardinals as well. Just try it, right? Like, we have a new rule. Don't just surrender. Don't give up. Don't give up on a whole entire play. That kickoff, I was really excited to see the Panthers do it. I'm sure return teams will try and adjust, but it made me really happy watching, week one, all 22 from the preseason.
So, Shawn, that's what I want to hone in on is, like, the reason we moved to this kickoff in the first place was to increase explosive plays and increase returns. And so if we are getting in a situation where the returners are only getting 10 yards, that's not good for the league. But we have a lot of really smart special teams coordinators. So in your view, you have probably looked at this going back to the XFL more than anyone. What do you think the retort from special teams coordinators will be in the return game?
You're right. I spent a little bit too much time on this overall. I think that as a special teams unit, now you're adding value if you can really kind of feel out the placement of where a kicker is going to kick the ball to. So you're moving your returners a little bit. You don't just have their heels on maybe like that 3-4 yard line. Maybe you have like kind of like an I formation where it looks like a fullback and a halfback. You have like a kind of up returner and a back returner, so you can kind of feel it out. I remember last preseason, I think it was like the Packers that tried something like that, and I think it discourages it just a little bit. I also think like returners are going to get better at fielding the ball because they have to. I think that kickers, I believe in the kickers, guys. I really, really believe in the kickers. I want to see them do these crazy things because even if you kick the ball out of bounds, I think the ball just goes out to the 40, like awful spot to have. It's only 5 yards further out than a touchback, right? So if you're constantly pinning them near that 20-yard line, I feel like if you have a really good kicker, I'm pushing the advantage towards the kickoff team here.
Is it interesting? I mean, on the one hand, this is the time, like you said, that you want to try things out. On the other hand, strategically, you could almost hold this and wait for the regular season and bust this out in a game that matters.
I totally get that. I just think it's going to work in the regular season as well. Because I'm trying to think of, well, like Sam asked, what are the kind of rebuttals to this? It's like, all right, are you going to move your returner up? Well, now we can just kick it away from that returner. Are you going to have 2 guys that are back there that are going to be able to field it? I totally understand, like, hey, we have to be aware of it. I also think there's a lot of value in there's just like a crystal clear proof of concept. If you're an NFL team, if you're a special teams unit, you can't say that, hey, I have no example of this working. I tried to advocate for that like line drive kind of knuckleball kick last year too. And, there were teams that tried it. The Cowboys were able to get a few really nice examples. You get some cool examples in the wind, but everyone's seen it. Like every single person has seen a really good example of doing this. So I think there's like no excuse to at least try and see what your kicker has in store.
What does it say that it's the Panthers that are the ones that did this?
I would say the person that hired me at SumerSports, Eric Eager, was certainly maybe he read the XFL research. I think that there's some reports in Carolina. I think
Are you taking credit for this? Is that what's actually happening right now?
No. I'm giving Eric the credit for it. There was some reports from Carolina. I think it was a reporter, I think his name was Mike Kay. He asked the Panther special teams coach, and the special teams coach kind of pointed to Eric Eager and his kind of help on that. So, maybe this kickoff doesn't work. Maybe it does work a ton, but trying to find an edge. Just try, right? You have a new rule. Try your best to try and make something of it.
I feel like, so there are lots of things to take away from here. Like big picture, I kind of love, if I'm a Panthers fan, that we're pointing to them and saying, look at who's being creative, look at who's trying new things, look who is listening to the analytics department, and then rolling it out. And they're all kind of working in concert with each other. And I feel like this is it, whether it works or not, kind of signaled that maybe we're moving in the right direction, which I know a lot of us are kind of feeling a little bit optimistic about the Panthers and that they take some strides forward this year. But yet another example here. What about on the offensive side of the ball? Did anything in particular, any teams jump out at you?
You know, one that actually stood out to me was the Jets. And we're thinking about it where Aaron Glenn is coming from Detroit and hopefully bringing a lot of that Lions mentality to New York. And the offensive coordinator there is going to be Tanner Engstrand, who some people thought maybe he was going to be the one to take over for Ben Johnson in Detroit. I really liked some of the details that they had in the run game. I think, you know, you're obviously not seeing ones-on-ones, but I think there's a chance that the Jets offensive line could just be a good unit, where now the offensive line coach in New York was the former tight ends coach in Detroit. So you're hopefully having just a good meeting of the minds there. I was excited by the way that, I mean, I made a little video about this, just using receivers kind of as blockers on defensive ends in different ways, which is not a matchup that you want usually, but finding just like a creative way to change up what offenses usually do. I'm just kind of excited. I think that week one of the preseason, are you learning a ton? Maybe not, but you see like the absolute kind of bones, like the structure of an offense, and to kind of feel that already in week one of the preseason for the Jets, I think that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, and even like boiling down into like really small details, there are things that you can kind of learn about maybe somebody's usage. Like Wan'Dale Robinson wasn't necessarily operating out of the slot. I think his ADOT in this game was like 12. Like that's literally night and day from last year and how they used him. So there are things here and there that we can take away. I know, Sam, you noticed that in that game, Fields was under center a little bit more than we're used to seeing him.
Yeah, me and Shawn have long discussed wanting to see a quarterback design run heavy offense, which, you know, Shawn doesn't like all that much, and I call for like a maniac every single year. And I think
what's the argument here, like between the two of you? How do you come down on this one differently?
Sam is the furthest extremist of the quarterback design run game committee, which like in college football, I'm absolutely on Sam's side on that. But I mean, Sam's asking for Baker Mayfield to run quarterback power like 10 times a game. And I have just maybe a little bit more concern. Now, of course, I would like a quarterback to be involved in the run game at some level. I don't want them to have 15 carries a game. The Jets are a fun example, Sam. I think we're probably a little bit closer here where absolutely. I mean, Justin Fields was a special runner. Get him involved. Now we're getting sets where it's him, Allen, and Hall in the backfield. I think that would be so much fun to have.
100%. And I think that's what intrigued me, because obviously it's the preseason. Obviously Justin Fields has already had a slight injury this preseason, but we were even seeing, you know, video of Brady Cook running in zone read. And I don't think Brady Cook has probably ever run the zone read ever in his life. And he definitely did not do so a ton at Missouri. So all that being said, I expected a lot of shotgun. I expected a lot of motion, which we got. But what I was very interested in was that Justin Fields was under center a lot. And obviously, considering Tanner Engstrand has worked with Jared Goff, who is a very efficient quarterback when he is under center, makes sense that that's what they want to do. They want to get downhill, and especially given all the motion and the wide receivers blocking and the kind of readjustment of the field pre-snap that Shawn alluded to, it's a little easier when the quarterback's, you know, hiding a little bit behind those big guys up front. So I'm really interested to see what the blend will be and whether we can actually get some design runs out of the under center sets, Shawn, which I think if I get that week one, I may just like fall in love with the New York Jets yet again. And I'm a little hesitant to do that, but I am excited about all the things that you've highlighted. I'm excited about what this team, which, you know, doesn't necessarily have a top tier quarterback, doesn't necessarily have a lot of top tier skill talent, at least as it compares to this year, not super deep there. I'm really interested to see how they use all these weapons, particularly given, as Lindsay noted, there's a lot of people in that backfield. Braylon Allen got some juice. Isaiah Davis. Interesting. Donovan Edwards was the leading carrier for the Jets. So I think there's so many ways that this Jets offense can go.
You named every running back except for the one.
Well, yeah, but we know Brees is there.
Okay.
So I'm a little bit more interested in how many people are going to get going. And I'm interested in your thoughts, Shawn. Like, we've seen the Lions trot out two running backs that are featured. We saw Jamal Williams, we saw DeAndre Swift, then we saw Jameer, and we saw David Montgomery. What are the chances that we see 2 or 3 guys involved based on just kind of what your feeling was from the preseason?
I mean, I have to imagine, and not like a full splitter, just like there's going to be more than one ball carrier in New York. And Fields should cut into that, just a little bit. I know from a fantasy football perspective, that might just be tough to have to kind of consider and kind of just like peek your way through overall. But if I'm a Jets fan, I would like to have like maybe not a hot hand mentality, but maybe it's matchup specific where you find out over time, hey, this running back is a little bit better out of the backfield, or, this running back is better on this specific concept. If you're a Jets offense, you want to find out, like, put your best guys in the best situations. I think the same way that the Lions are really able to take advantage of Jahmyr Gibbs just being an absolute lightning bolt out of the backfield. I don't think you should minimize your talent. And I don't think the Jets' goal is to just like, hey, we need to find like a lead bell cow back and make, I think, fantasy owners happy. But their job is to put their players in the best position to win. And it might be just a circumstance where it's some specific concept, some specific matchups kind of lean towards more of one running back than the other.
All of these Lions comps, I have to say the obvious thing here, and that is that Justin Fields and Jared Goff could not be more different in terms of what their strengths and weaknesses are. So how closely can they resemble the Lions?
That's a great question, because the biggest thing is, like, if you look at how often Jared Goff throws over the middle of the field, he is just throwing missiles over the middle with full trust. And that's something that Fields hasn't done as much of. So I think that's where it falls on Engstrom to find these different ways, where there was one example that I talked about in the video where it's like a receiver's blocking a defensive end and you're just kind of pinning that guy so your quarterback can kind of get out on a play action fake. He can gain the edge. So you're finding different ways where, I do enjoy Jared Goff as a quarterback. I don't think you're going to like roll him out all the time. So I think you're going to look at what are the strengths of Fields, where maybe you say, hey, he is not going to throw the ball always to the same areas that Jared Goff did, but Fields has tools that you can take advantage of that Goff didn't have. So I'm excited, for Tanner Engstrom to have, his full control, really, really kind of put his thumbprint on that offense overall.
I think that everyone who follows you and is familiar with you at all understands your love affair with Vic Fangio and his schemes. Are we like developing a different relationship, like hard eyes over here with Mike McDonald in Seattle?
Lindsay, I love good football. I will say Vic Fangio, like he's like personally important to my professional career. I do think though, the defense that I really liked watching from preseason week 1, I mean, the interception, that one of the many interceptions that they had against the Raiders, where you're sending 4 guys, you're overloading one side, you're creating a free rusher, you're putting a trap coverage behind it. It's so much to handle. And the fact that we're doing that in week 1 of the preseason, that's like how I opened up the video. I was like, this is what we're doing in week 1 of the preseason. This is now another year of Mike McDonald having that system in place in Seattle, where when you look back at the Baltimore days, people don't think too much back to it was a game against the Dolphins where like Kyle Hamilton's kind of going one way, another safety is going the other way. The ball is in the end zone by the time that anyone realizes it. So for McDonald to have a second year, that's what we're doing on day 1 install. I think he feels really confident in his teaching process. They have such a fun, versatile secondary. They have a rail front. I'm excited to see kind of just what McDonald does overall with the linebackers, because Roquan Smith, that season he had with McDonald was so special, where you're just vacuuming up space in the middle of the field. So yeah, I mean, I can be open about it. Like, I love watching this defense. Who wouldn't? There's a chance that this defense is the best defense in the league. I'm excited to see some of the changes for the Seahawks on the offensive side of the ball. But from like a schematic perspective, I think at a certain level from a player perspective, I mean, I have no desire to want to go up against the Seattle Seahawks defense.
Best defense in the league,
Potentially. I mean, maybe. Lindsay, we just got to week 1 of the preseason, right?
You said the sentence, not me. Don't yell at me.
I think when you look at the front, when you look at who's on the back end, I'm excited. It's not just, like I love Nicky Manwari and you can kind of put him in all these places. I mean, just think of the versatility. Like Reek Wallen is an awesome cornerback. Witherspoon is really versatile. You have a rail, just mean, nasty defensive front between Leonard Williams, between Byron Murphy, between Jerron Reed, even if you're able to get a healthy DeMarcus Lawrence, I think that gives McDonald so much like flexibility to almost be less complicated, where he can say, oh, I just have all these guys up front that can take care of the run, and like let's just go ahead and play it regular. I think that's going to be something really fun. Now, I will say, after saying, hey, this could maybe be the top defense in the league, a little bit I think could happen where, maybe your offense isn't all the way at that top end. Your defense is in a little bit tougher situations. You're obviously in that NFC West. I need the regular season games, Lindsay. I need them because I really do believe in what McDonald's putting together.
I want to dig deeper because you mentioned the complication of the defense. And I think the reason why people could be shocked that this could be the best defense in the league is because some of the names that you mentioned, like we know, but like aren't massive star names on the Myles Garrett level or something like that. Obviously, Leonard Williams is excellent and an all-pro level performer. But what is really innovative about this defense is the way that he teaches the defense and the reasons why he can put people in the places that they are. Can you kind of describe a little bit more about how he teaches the defense and why, in particular, the instance in your video is so easy to do for a Mike Macdonald defense while being so difficult to deal with for an offense?
What I love about McDonald is, I mean, there's situations from his past where it's like you're just throwing a new player in that situation and this guy can play full speed because I think McDonald knows how to streamline the teaching for that specific player and really for the defense overall, where some things can be like X's on a chalkboard instead of positions where it's like, this is the pressure path that we're going to have. That example against the Raiders, it's like, hey, I'm going to force half of your offensive line to slide one way, overload you on the other side. That can be like any position. The Chargers ran a similar pressure against the Saints. And it's like, now this is a different type of body. So I really like McDonald's ability to say, this is my pressure of the week. I'm going to dress it up 6 different ways. I know that you can't block it. Like it's such a beautiful way to do it. It's the same reason why I think we spend so much time in our like careers just praising Sean McVay, where it's like, hey, I'm just going to run this kind of concept. Like it's all going to sort of look different, but it's really just the same thing. McDonald does that for a little bit, but I think he is special because it is not an easy job to study these offensive lines and be like, oh, you know, the right tackle's right ankle, when it's at this degree, that's when I know it's a pass. And because of that, now I can get to this pressure. That is not easy to do. And I think for him to be able to do it over and over, you're hoping that those front 4 guys, maybe that says like McDonald says, hey, just go play, just go get after the ball. I don't have to scheme up the fanciest thing this week. But I really like, you know, when you look at like a coach's install, for example, I think you can see just some of the details. Obviously, a lot of it is taught, you know, in meetings or verbally. Some people are going to learn more kind of on the field as well, but just like looking through some of his materials, just seeing, okay, this is what he's trying to achieve. He's trying to show his players, well, this is kind of our high level goal. This is the more narrow goal. This is how we're going to put you in this specific situation. I think he has absolutely earned players' trust, and I think players play fast for him on the field.
Sam, I think our boy is like lit from the inside right now. Like no one is happier than Shawn Syed that football is back, that there are X's and O's for him to break down, which he is doing with a almost disturbing amount of frequency, considering it's just 1 week into the preseason. You should go follow him on the Twitter at Syed Schemes. It's our boy Shawn Syed. Thank you so much.
Thanks as always, guys.